Welcome and welcome back, everybody, to the OK Grodnard Show. Today is Wednesday, November 20th, 2024. It's not 10 a.m. Central. It's just after 6 o'clock. I had some technical difficulties earlier, and then I had to go off to work. But now I'm back, and I am sure that it's going to work out just fine, but in any event, we're in beautiful Lake Geneva, Wisconsin, and we're going to take a look today at the first edition Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Dungeon Master's Guide, Appendix A. I don't think we've ever looked at the Appendix A. And why wouldn't we look at the Appendix A? We look at all the other appendices. They're all good. They're additional. They must be good. Taking time to put extra stuff in there. And we would love our Appendix N. It's beautiful. But Appendix A, what's it all about? What is Appendix A all about? Well, I'll tell you what it's about. It's about random dungeon generation. Now, we're not going to go through the whole thing. I should do a follow-up video sometime in the not-too-distant future, where I actually dig into the whole thing. Late night shenanigans, says the Vince himself, who's popping into the chat. Thanks, Vince. Yeah, you know, I had some technical difficulty earlier, and now I got it off. It's had some driver issues, apparently, and I had to reset some things and update some things and get it all fixed. And now I think it's working just fine, so we will see. But let me check this section. Do I have the left screen on? Oh, look at that. Look at that. It's beautiful. Appendix A. When you need help in designing a dungeon, whether it is a level in your main dungeon or a labyrinth discovered elsewhere, the following random generation system has proven itself to be useful. It must be noted that the system requires time, but it can be used directly in conjunction with actual play. The upper level, above the dungeon, in which adventures are to take place, should be completely planned out, and it is a good idea to use the outdoor encounter matrix to see what lives where. A staircase discovered later just might lead right into the midst of whatever it is. A stairway down to the first level of the dungeon should be situated in the approximate middle of the upper ruins, or whatever you have as upper works. The first level of the dungeon is always begun with a room. That is, the stairway down leads to a room. So you might go immediately to table V, that's table 5, and follow the procedure indicated, or use one of the following starter areas. Always begin a level in the middle of a sheet of graph paper. Keep a side record of all monsters, treasures, tricks, traps, and whatever, a normal dungeon matrix. Discretion must prevail at all times. For example, if you had decided that a level is to be but one sheet of paper in size, and the die result calls for something which goes beyond the edge, amend the result by rolling until you obtain something which will fit with your predetermined limits. Common sense will serve. If a room won't fit, a smaller one must serve. In any room or chamber which is called for can be otherwise drawn to suit whatever you believe to be its best positioning. In other words, you can move stuff to the left or the right or all over the place, any which way you want. It's just that easy. Well, what's that next section look like? I hear you cry. Well, the next section is kind of neat, and I've tightened it up a little bit to make this image here to throw up on the screen, but it's a little more spread out in the DMG, as you can see right here. These are start areas for random dungeon, and they don't all fit on the screen, but let's look at them on the other way then, because that way I can talk about them each in turn. Look at number 1. Notice it spreads out it is symmetrical, left to right, so that no matter which way you go, it looks like there's some planning involved. And it's easy enough to have all sorts of directions. You've got a few alcoves kind of already designed. I guess you could throw some secret doors here or there, or perhaps those various hallways just continue in whatever direction they were going. Notice you got one going straight north, either left or right to the north are some doors. East and west both have a hallway that could just end, or could end in a door if you wanted to add a door and then more beyond it. Or they could be a continuous hallway that just hasn't been completed on the map yet. Look at number 2. Similar situation, symmetrical, and these all are more or less symmetrical with a couple of slight variations on number 3. But, if you prefer not to have too many rooms right at the start, something like number 2 just has the main chamber and then a bunch of hallways going off. If you prefer not having so many hallways flying off in all directions, number 4, for instance, is a chamber with 5 different doorways going out. So you've got different options here is what I'm saying. And once you get into all the tables in the rest of Appendix A, and let me give you a little look at some more of that on the following pages. Notice that's page 169 where it starts. You do these periodic checks in this table, in this first one, and it's got a check for doors, and you've got side passages, and these will be consulted as called for. If you'll notice in the first table, it says 3 to 5 is a door, use table 2, 6 to 10 as a side passage, use table 3, and the entire appendix is set up that way. So you've got all sorts of things happening. There's the illustrious table 5 with chambers and rooms, shape and size, and all of this. Square, room shape and area, 20 by 20 or 10 by 10. And it suggests different things. Now, it will get into unusual shaped rooms as well. And then once you get beyond, you'll get into all sorts of nifty sorts of contents for the room, and what is guarding the treasure, what is the treasure contained in. It's got a whole table here for without a monster or with a monster, so that you can ramp up the treasure for those beautiful valuables for when people fight actual monsters. In any event, that's a look at Appendix A. We can spend some more time on it sometime in the not too distant future, and we will. But let's call it here. And we've got ourselves a show for today. And I'm sorry I didn't get it out earlier. I'm glad I was able to get things fixed and get it out today at least, so we're not too far behind. And I appreciate Vince stopping in and anybody else checking it out. And if you're checking it out later, well, you know how that works. We took a look today at the first edition Advanced Dungeons & Dragons Dungeon Master Guide Appendix A on random dungeon generation. The show streams live on Twitch each Wednesday, usually at 10 a.m. Central. Then it's archived on YouTube. Like and subscribe and follow and thumbs up and all that other fun stuff, and it'd be greatly appreciated. And if you leave comments, I'd like that too. Thanks to our Patreon supporters. Links are provided in the show notes. Tom Tullis of Fat Dragon Games, Carlos Lysing of Castle Entertainment, Heath Varnden of the AD&D 20, Dave O'Brien, Heidi and Eric Gygax Garland of Gaxland, Vince Ragusa, a.k.a. the Vince himself, who was in the chat today, thank you so much, Unauthorized User, and as always, Shane Bradley, DM Extraordinaire. This has been the OK Grognard Show from beautiful Lake Geneva, Wisconsin. Thank you, and bye-bye.